Morning everyone. So in today's session I'm going to run through the very basics of Microsoft Teams Business Voice and just show you how to use some of the functionality. In terms of the changes to your Microsoft Teams client, you're really not going to see a massive difference other than this purple box down here, and when you click it you get a dial pad and your direct dial extension number. So this is this number comes directly to me, and you can type numbers in here, or you can copy and paste, or you can use the buttons on the dial pad. And when you put a number in here, you basically hit return. It'll fire up an external window and make an outbound call. And there you can probably hear my mobile is ringing in the background. So in terms of the most basic functionality, that is how you make an outbound call. Very simple. In terms of inbound calls, what's going to happen is if you've got the Teams mobile client on your phone, the Teams app for Android and iPhone is really good, obviously. If you've got the Teams mobile app installed, there's a setting in the setting to say that if I'm sat at my computer and I'm logged into Microsoft Teams, deliver calls here. If you're not on your computer, then calls are going to be automatically delivered to your mobile device through the Teams app. And just worth pointing out there that if you've got a Bluetooth car kit, the calls will come through the Bluetooth car kit if you're in the car as well. So if I dial my direct dial extension from my mobile phone, what's going to happen is I'm going to get the little pop-up in the top right hand corner of my screen, and I can answer that, and by default, if I've not got anything else plugged in, it's going to come through to my my speakers and microphone. Obviously, for the most part, you're going to have an external headset or some headphones plugged in, so everybody in the office doesn't have to hear your conversation. So if I answer that inbound call, I get a separate window here. I'm just going to mute it, otherwise it'll cause feedback. So this is the call, the inbound call from my mobile. There's nothing stopping me using these call controls here and pressing hold to put that person on hold, and then I can go and start another call by dialing another number, and that will give me another one of these windows. So it's really easy to handle multiple calls at the same time by using separate windows. And using the call controls, there's lots of things I can do here, and these three things are based around the transfer and the moving of calls. So the first one that we use quite a lot is this park function. So if I hit park, what that's going to do is give me a number, usually sort of 1 to 100, and then I can instant message the person that the call is destined for and say, John is parked on 52. And they can hit this parked calls button here in Teams, and that will allow them to just put in the number 52 and they will get that call. You can do a blind transfer, so just a straight transfer. So if I hit this button, obviously in Teams, extension numbers are dead and we only transfer calls to people. I can put the person's name in. When I click on it, it'll tell me the present information. That's the information that comes from whether they're in a meeting in Outlook or whether they're already on the phone and stuff like that. You can hover over it, it'll give you that status, so you can instantly see whether you're going to be able to get that call through. You can check this box to ring back if they don't answer. Tom doesn't answer, instead of putting it through to his voicemail, the call will come back to me, and I can just hit transfer. And what that will do is that will just, I don't get to speak to Tom there, it just sends the call directly through to him. If I wanted to do an attended transfer, which means I want to say to Tom, hey, I've got Sue for you, is it okay to put her through? I'm going to do a consult then transfer. So when I put Tom's name in again, I get the free busy information. Now I've got two options here. I can click chat and that'll open a chat window, so I can type, hey Tom, I've got Sue for you. Or I can click Teams audio call, okay? And if I click Teams audio call, it's going to call me, it's going to call Tom. I'll be able to speak to Tom first, and it's gonna create a separate window that, and then there'll be a transfer button so I can complete the call transfer. So in a nutshell, that's how easy it is to transfer calls, and you've got three options to do that. So we've got part call, blind transfer, which puts the call straight through, or a consult then transfer. So it's worth just mentioning now about conference calls. So if I, those of you that remember being able to create conference calls from your iPhones, and it was really useful. You can now do that easily in Microsoft Teams. So I've got an open call here with my mobile, and let's say that instead of transferring, I want to bring a third or a fourth or up to 50 people in to this conference call. I can hit this Show Participants button, which gives me a new section here, and I can bring in a colleague. So I can type Thomas, for example, and click that, and that'll go and grab Thomas and bring him into the conference call. Or I can type a mobile number or a landline. All I do is put the number in there, and it will go and grab that call in. So there's a really quick, easy way for you to be able to bring a colleague in, or a supplier or a customer into a conversation. That's a really useful feature there. So it's worth just spending a couple of minutes talking about how inbound calls work. So every company's different, and each of you will have your own configuration on what to do with inbound calls. But as a general rule, what happens is when inbound calls to a main office number come in, they'll route to a number of individuals first, and then spill over to another group of individuals, and all that's done by us in the back end. But what's different about how this works is if it works based on presence information, which is the thing up here in the top right hand corner. It's smart and intelligent, and it comes from Microsoft Outlook, or you can set it manually. Now, if an inbound call comes in for our main number, and I'm part of the first group of people that receives calls, then if my tick is green and I'm available, then I'm going to be in the queue to receive that inbound call. And the way we work it is that the calls get routed to the person who's been off the phone for the longest. All right, so basically there's a bit of intelligence around being able to get calls to people when it gives people time to finish up the last call and make notes and that kind of thing. So when that call comes in, if I'm green and available, that call's going to come to me. If I manually set my status to busy, what's going to happen there is if somebody rings me directly on my direct dial number, so this 0161 number here, I'm still going to receive that call, because although I've said I'm busy, that call is destined just for me, and the system knows that, and so it's going to deliver that call. If I don't want any calls at all, I would have to set myself to do not disturb. But what's not going to happen is calls coming to the inbound main number are not going to come to me. Basically, I'm taking myself out of that group by making myself busy. So that's briefly, if you've followed that, is how the inbound calls to a main number are going to work. If you're available and you're in the queue to get receive calls, you're going to get them. If you're busy, you're sort of putting yourself out of that queue. And likewise, if you're on Do Not Disturb and away, and the away information is smart. That's like if you walk away from your computer, it's going to set you to away after about 5 minutes. The system's not going to deliver calls to you then. Just to cover a few items that are in the settings in the user interface that are going to be important for you when you're using Microsoft Teams Business Voice. If I click on my little face here and then click on settings, the first one I'd like to cover is just in this devices thing, and it's called the secondary ringer. Now, what that is if somebody rings in and I've got my headphones in or got a headset on, it's going to ring in the headset. But not a lot of people like to wear their headset all the time or keep their headphones in all the working day. So what this does is it'll ring, in addition to ringing in the headset, it'll ring the speakers from my laptop. So there's an audible noise that I can hear when I go to make a brew or I'm in the kitchen or whatever coming out of my laptop to say that somebody's phoning me. So that's something that you're probably going to want to go in and configure straight away. The other things are in this call section, okay? And there's some good intelligent stuff here that you can do. If somebody calls you, you can say also ring a number. So that could be your mobile, for example. So you could say if somebody rings my team's direct dial number, ring my mobile number as well. So that's like sort of basic call forwarding. You can set it to ring a person or a group of people. So let's say somebody rings my direct dial, I can give it a call group there and it can ring 5 or 6 people at the same time. I can forward calls to voicemail or to a number. That's just that straightforwarding thing. And it gives you the option of what to do when your call is unanswered. So at the moment I've got voicemail, but you can say do nothing, which means it'll ring out forever. You can send it to a call or a call group again. Okay, and then there's just some options down here about what the different ringtones are. So you might want to differentiate between calls that have rang you directly, calls that people have forwarded to you, or calls that are delegated to you. So that's delegated means if somebody's set this up to ring you as well as them, you're going to get a different ringtone so that you can differentiate between calls for you and calls that were actually destined for another person. So that's my quick run through of the Microsoft Teams Business Voice features. Obviously I've only covered the most basic features there, and there are a few more other things to it, and there's lots of configuration goes into the back end as well that you'll probably never have to touch. I hope that's been useful. I hope that you can use that to get up and running with the system. And if you've got any questions, as usual, give us a shout.